This is Twit.
Aereo takes its case to the Supreme Court next week, but first the company is throwing itself on the mercy of the public. A new website called protectmyantenna.org is part of that company's PR push to convince the world that it's merely renting antennas and not stealing content. Now, you should note that Lindsay Turrentine works for CNET, whose parent company is CBS, one of the companies involved in the case, so Lindsay won't join this particular part of the conversation, but we do have a couple of excellent guests, the first of which is Dwight Silverman, who's a writer for the Houston Chronicle. Welcome, Dwight.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
We also have Ted Johnson, who's a writer for Variety, which is a trade publication that covers Hollywood. And welcome to you, Ted.
Thank you for having me.
Now you specialize in Hollywood and politics, is that correct?
Yes, Hollywood, politics, government, and legal. And this is a story that kind of merges all three of them.
Well, can you briefly articulate Aereo's Supreme Court case in a nutshell? I mean, they're basically arguing that what they're doing should be legal, is legal, and is just pretty innocent. So what are they going to be saying next week?
Well, what they're going to be saying is that they are essentially, as you said, just providing the consumer with the equipment that allows them to capture these broadcast signals. The twist is they have the equipment, but they are going to say that this is absolutely just a consumer's private use, private capturing of that broadcast signal, that it is no different than a consumer having a VCR. It's no different than, for example, Cablevision has this remote DVR, and something that the courts have held is legal. So I think they're going to really cast themselves as just the next evolution in technology, and one that falls well within the legal bounds. Now, obviously, broadcasters have a very different opinion of the legality of Aereo.
Now, Dwight, can you describe the technology behind this? Because as far as I know, this is pretty unique technology that they're using.
Well, Aereo describes their setup essentially as outsourcing the antenna that you might normally buy from Radio Shack for $30 for HD TV signals. They have tiny little dime-sized antennas that are on circuit boards mounted in cabinets atop data centers around the country. I visited the one here in Houston a couple of weeks ago. Those signals are then taken down into some servers that set up individual DVRs for each customer. So it's one antenna, one DVR, and it's sent out. Their argument is that basically because it's a single stream going from an antenna that, again, you might put on your house out through the internet, that they are, this is a legitimate use and should be allowed. The technology is really interesting because it's inexpensive to set up, inexpensive to expand, and in cities where they have at least 15,000 customers, Houston is one of those, they say that they are able to make a profit at that level.
So, Dwight Silverman, what you're saying is that if I was in Houston and you and I were both customers and we both TiVo'd, if you will, they have a cloud-based, TiVo-style recording service. If we both selected to record a show, they would keep 2 copies, not 1?
Yes, they keep a copy for each individual that they have. They essentially have a series of 3 terabyte drives stored in their servers. Each one is partitioned for each customer. And so it makes it very easy if they decide that they want to expand, they just add some more of these racks of antennas, they add some more hard drives, and they instantly have more capacity. And again, they use partitioning on these drives to make sure that everybody has their own DVR.
And that's that's how they're getting around the technicalities. Each customer is rented his or her own antenna and has his or her own copy of the recorded programming, and that's really going to be a major part of this case. Now, Ted Johnson, you talked about the case as being essentially over a clause in the Copyright Act. Can you talk about that clause? What this clause is that they're going to be arguing over?
Yes, Aereo's argument is that what they essentially are doing is providing consumers an easier way of getting free TV, and that therefore what they are doing is not a public performance. Now, there is a clause in the Copyright Act that says that copyright holders have a right of public performance. Most people traditionally view that as a playwright has rights to a play when it's performed. A musician has rights to the music when it is publicly performed. But that's not all that the Copyright Act says. In 1976, Congress added what is called the transmit clause. And there's a lot of reading of this transmit clause as to what it actually means. And the broadcasters say that this was put in there specifically to prevent companies like Aereo from coming along and actually taking its signals. So I think at the Supreme Court, there's going to be a lot of argument over what this actually means. Broadcasters say they have a broad view of the transmit clause, saying that it is designed to restrict technologies like Aereo. Aereo sees it far differently and says that previous rulings have really upheld the kind of technology that it has. So in short, a lot of people view public performance as something where a big crowd gathers and sees a play or a movie or something like that. But the reality is the Copyright Act has a more expansive definition of what a public performance is, and it includes things that are transmitted by devices. So I think there is some confusion there over exactly what the Copyright Act says and what it actually does.